Hi, gentlemen and Chinese cat ladies. Oops, yeah. Sorry for that term, but you will know why I use that term once you know what this video is about. So in this video, I'm going to talk about why the worst among us become prime ministers and presidents, or why the last person in your class is or will be your president or prime minister. And we are going to break it down with our models and with the logics, and I'm going to show you. But first, let me begin with a bell curve, which is missing right now. And if you don't know what a bell curve is, then don't have to worry about that because it's not something that will use common sense. Because if that dude can be a prime minister or president, then at least you can know what a bell curve is without knowing that. So let's make it. All right? I'm going to make a curve for you. So guys, this is what a bell curve actually looks like. It's a terrible drawing anyway, but this is what a bell curve is actually. So if you can see, it's a bell-like curve. So it's flat here at the beginning, flat at the end, and really fat at the middle. So this is what a bell curve is. So what it is, basically, society is divided into three groups. The first group is here, which is like the least smart people or the least talented people or the least skilled people. So this is the first group of people. Then you have here. So we are going to talk about two extremes. This is another part, which is the third. This is the most talented, the most skill set, the brightest, the scientists, the engineers, the revolutionaries, the out of the world people, the top 1% of the 1% of the 1%, or the top 0.0001% to 1% of your and my world, right? So these are here. Now these are also sad people, sad people, sad people. This is where 98% of the human population falls. This is where the 98% of the human population falls. Between this bell curve, between the worst and the best. This is where you are. So either you are somewhere here or you are somewhere here. Or maybe you are somewhere here or maybe here. Something along the lines of that. Correct? Now, why do most politicians in your country, presidents, prime ministers, MPs, MEPs, whatever, why all of them, or most of them, or a big chunk of them, always fall here? Not here, because you would expect your leaders or your prime ministers, your presidents, because if all of you did these average and smart people elect, then they should be here, right? People should be electing from here, but actually it's the opposite. People, most of the time, these people, you and me, elect people, presidents and prime ministers in democratic nations like Italy and Spain and Portugal and India and America and Canada and the rest of Europe and Australia and New Zealand. Most people get elected as president and prime ministers from here. Now, why is that? There has to be a reason behind that, because if so many smart people are electing and are choosing and are in a democratic process and it's fair and free, then people need to come from here, or maybe at least from here and not here. But why is that? And that is the fact whether you like it or not, which we are going to talk about in this video, right? So the first reason is pretty much simple, guys, and I'm going to write this thing here. Number one, they get things done. Think of the guy who used to stand last in your class, like in ranking, in projects, in homework and all of that. That dude had the most creative reasons for not doing his homework or for failing an exam or for getting really, really bad mark in an exam. If you had a system which actually questioned why you got low exam, because we had a system where the teacher would literally question us if we got a 70 or a 80, forget about getting a 30 and a 40. You would be questioned at everything. That was how India is, and that is how India is still, by the way, after I left school for almost half a decade. And you got the questions like, why didn't you do well? What's your problem? What's this? What's that? Those guys and those girls came up with the most creative answers you could think. My dog ate my homework. My cat peed on my exam paper or something. Like the most outlandish thing that even Donald Trump can't think of. These kids are extremely, extremely creative and have this insane genius capacity of getting things done. Like they can make a deal with the devil if needed. Like genuinely, they can make a deal with the devil if needed. And this is one of the reasons why they get elected as prime ministers and presidents. Because they can get the fuck done. Now moving to the second point, and this one's pretty interesting. The second point is they are amazing, amazing, phenomenal manipulators. Manipulation. Now what does manipulation actually mean, guys? Manipulation doesn't mean doing crime, doing dirty work, kidnapping people, abusing, killing. No, no, no. Manipulation means making you, the people, these people, getting things done you don't want it to. But anyway, getting things done because now you're part of a crowd, and crowd doesn't have common sense. The crowd that has one blind leader, this dude, who can manipulate well, and getting things done by them in a way that they like. And in the process, making them do things that they don't like. And after they've done the things, making them guilty of the fact that they had done the things, and then making them guilty of the fact to question him or her or why they made them do the things when they should have been accountable for that. Did you get my point? I think you didn't, and that's the point. They are great at manipulations. They'll make you do things, or the group, or these people, the bell curve here, they'll make them do things which they will not do in the real life, in the real phenomena, in the real stratosphere, but they'll do it anyway. Think of the Germans, of the Nazi Germans, it's too hot here, even like 90 degrees, even at night. In the Weimar part, in the 1939 part of Germany, what did they do? They were not bad people, they were good people. But under tremendous pressure and manipulation, they became evil, they became devil. They did terrible things to their Jewish brothers, to their Jewish sisters, to the neighbors, to their people next door. What was that? That was manipulation. These people who get elected are amazing, amazing, amazing manipulators. And that brings us to the third one, which is staying in power. See guys, once I'll go here, yeah. Once you're getting into office, you ain't getting out of it pretty quick, right? So you gotta do something that you stay in power over and over and over and over and over again. So what you do is you form alliances. You make deal with the devil. Oh no, devil is here, yeah. You make deals with the devil. You do all sort of things so that your power can be increased and you can be in power and you can be in charge for over and over and over and over and over again. And this is where you have to use these people. What do? Well, you divide them. People who support you versus people who oppose you. Well, what do? Well, you divide more on people who support you extremely and people who support you, situationally. And then what do you do more? Well, you create riots. Not much. A few riots, a few people will be slaughtered. That's perfectly fine. Who cares? And these things may sound uncomfortable, guys, but we all have experienced it, right? At some point or the other, it's too hot here and I'm sweaty. Not because I'm making a video on prohibitions. And these are some of the reasons why the guy who stood at last in your class or is at this, like in the top or the bottom 10% or 1% of the society, will become your prime minister and president and member of the European Parliament and member of the Parliament, so on and so forth. And there's one more reason to it. If somehow, for some reason, you get a leader who is from this part, the top 1% or the top 2%, you know what happens to them? They hardly get elected, first of all. Okay, once they get elected, they hardly get 1 term, 2 term, but because of the principles, because of the ethics, because of the morals, and so on and so forth, and because of the attitude to not sell their soul to the devil for the sake of the chair or for the sake of the power and position, they get kicked out and are replaced by a placeholder here. That is it. That is it. I hope you liked it. And let me end this video with a quote from the late great Osho. And he says, the problem is not that we have a democracy. The problem is not that we have a democracy. The problem is that we have a democracy in which the masses are deranged. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.